Hey you guys, welcome back to Angel Angela, and as you guys can see by the title, I'm going to talk about how narcissists hate themselves and they hate your boundaries. The narcissist hates themselves and they hate your boundaries. So having boundaries, you hear that all the time from people. They say, oh, you got involved with narcissistic people because you didn't have any boundaries or you didn't really know your value. So in a way, certain people even not necessarily put the blame on you, but they also want you to take accountability. And sometimes you're frustrated even because you might also feel like, well, no one taught me these things, right? Sometimes the haters that hate themselves were around you and you didn't even have a clue that the reason no one told you, to have certain boundaries is because they didn't have boundaries for themselves, or they're so stuck into what happened to them that they're wishing bad on you, right? They've already crossed certain boundaries that you might be aware of or might not be aware of, or because you know the power of forgiveness, this person thinks that you're a fool. And the reason being is because you could forgive people, but you need to have boundaries. Like, it's okay to forgive others, but be okay with, hey, I'm never going to talk to you again. Hey, I'm never going to come around you again. Not that I hate you. It's just that I have boundaries. I have things that I wouldn't do to others, and I wouldn't want people to do it to me. And you did something, whether it was to me or to someone else, that makes me have a red flag up, and now I have to distance myself. So it's like, I forgive you. Fooled me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, because now I know, hey, when I saw the red flag, I could have forgave you and kept it pushing, but I decided to stick around. But a lot of times we don't really know evil, right? We are confused a lot of times when we're with narcissistic people, because there's moments where they might be kind, or they might be nice, or they might be in a generous mood. But when you're around them long enough, you know that there's two sides to them, and that other side, you see something in them where you understand the rage, but you also don't understand why the rage is being directed at you in a way that's so vicious. You see this type of hate in the narcissist where it seems like they don't even want you to exist. Like they want you dead. Like they're looking at you like, why does your life doesn't matter? Your life isn't anything. You might as well just give up. You might as well, some of them will even tell you, drop dead. You might as well just go and kill yourself. I've had the narcissist say things to me where it was just like, hey, if I've dragged you to the point where you're so depressed, then just go do it. Just go delete yourself. And I remember really feeling like he's telling me to do it. I might as well do it. Like, I'm at the edge, right? I'm at the edge. And while you're at the edge because you've been gaslit, this person's saying, oh, you're crazy. They're telling other people that you're the narcissist, you're the Jezebel spirit, right? They feel like, hey, you allowed me to do these things and now you're going crazy. Hey, if you had boundaries, you wouldn't even have allowed me to do any of this stuff, because guess what? Someone who has value and who has boundaries wouldn't even have allowed me to do none of this stuff. Those type of females do not want me because they're not willing to be disrespected. I admire them. I would probably want to get with them, but I can't control myself. I don't have any boundaries. I hate myself. And as long as I keep hating myself, I won't have any boundaries for myself or for you. But when I feel like I don't hate myself, I'm going to start having boundaries. So when I'm in a good mood and I'm on a high and I'm feeling myself, now I have boundaries. So if you do something to me, I'm going to say, how dare you? You ever see how narcissists can treat you a certain type of way? But if you were to do these things to them, now they want to have boundaries. They're giving themselves false value. They're giving themselves false value. Because they really hate themselves and they hate your boundaries. And if someone is claiming to have boundaries but don't respect other people's boundaries, then your boundaries are non-existent. You only have boundaries when it's convenient for you. So if you only have boundaries when it's convenient for you, and you're only a good person when it's convenient for you, then you're not really a good person and you don't really have boundaries. You're someone who doesn't have any boundaries, any you don't have any morals. They don't have morals. They'll sleep with your sister. They'll sleep with your friend. This is someone that does not have morals, but they're presenting themselves in an image that is very almost, oh, I'm godly, I'm in power, or others believe I'm good, just not you. Others respect me, but you don't respect me because you've seen the real me, and the real me that you think you know, that's not even the real me. They're gaslighting you. They're crazy. This person's crazy. Oh, the real me is the one that people see, the mask. That's the real me. This monster you're seeing, this isn't the real me. That's just who I am with you. I only treat you bad. I have respect for certain people in high places, people with money. I respect certain people. I have boundaries with certain people. I know how to behave around certain people. So that's not really who you are. You're not a respectful person. You don't really have boundaries. You don't have any morals. It's just a facade. And when you get around certain people that they start to show you that they don't respect themselves and what they have and what they've built, because they're doing things that are they're on a very thin line, the narcissist will rejoice. They'll be like, oh, this person doesn't have boundaries, so I don't have boundaries either. And they latch on to low vibrational people, and then they get played by them because they looked up to them as someone that they should respect, and they enjoy being around that person, but that person doesn't respect themselves, so they don't respect you. You're just drawn to them for your own convenience, and then you become the victim once you get played. And now you want to have boundaries. Now you want a real relationship. Now you want real friendships. Now you want everything that you know is real. You sure do know how to pick the right ones. They know how to pick good people. because good people fuels them. But after a while, when they've got enough energy from you, they start to detest you. They only needed you when they were down. As soon as they built themselves up with their false confidence, now they're detested by you. They're like, you disgust them. Your goodness makes their skin crawl. Your goodness, anything nice that you do, it doesn't even matter. Sometimes you can try to buy this person. You could try to do nice things to stay on their good side. Do what you've been told to do. You could do everything. And what you'll see is that they're not satisfied with nothing that you do. And a part of you might even feel like, damn, this person doesn't even feel bad that I'm going all out, they don't even feel bad that they're treating me bad while I'm being good to them. Like, is this person even a real human being? Like, it's like an animal. Like, it doesn't have any love or nothing. It was like, feed me snacks, and now when the snacks are over and done with, now they're out to get you, and they're out to get you like if you're the one that's putting them in a cage. Like, there's this hate, animosity towards you. And a lot of the things that they claim people have done to them, for some reason, they're doing it to you. And when you're bringing that awareness to them, it's almost like they don't even hear what you're saying. They hear you, but they're not really listening. It's just like, so what? Yeah, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And if you don't like it, then leave, right? So when you do have boundaries for yourself and you do leave, because at some point you're going to feel like, I can't allow, something in you is going to tell you, I can't allow someone to treat me this way. This is jacked up. It doesn't even make sense. It's making me feel crazy. They want to go, they can go. And instead of the narcissist respecting themselves, it's not so much by respecting you, but if they respected themselves enough, they wouldn't even deal with you. They would feel like if you're truly beneath them like they are treating you like, then they would just leave. Because they would have boundaries, because they would respect themselves enough to leave and go get whatever it is that they really want. But the truth of the matter is, if a narcissist targets you, it's because they see something in you, something that you might not even see. They see your value before you even see your own value. And they're wondering why you're not protecting your boundaries, why you're not protecting your value. And every time there's a slap to the face, they're looking at it like, okay, you don't have any boundaries, so anybody else can do this to you. And it's probably been done to you in many different ways, and you're not aware of it. And just that simple thought irritates the narcissist demons. So you can say, oh, well, why don't they just look out for me? Why don't they just warn me? Why don't they just, tell me, hey, this is important? They're not going to protect you when they're doing the same thing. Because who you think they are is not who they are. They are like people from your past. It's a familiar spirit. So the familiar spirit keeps getting worse and worse and worse. A lot of times that's the reason you even run across these people, is so that you can actually reflect on all the times you didn't have any boundaries. So that entity is like, You don't respect yourself. You don't have boundaries. And it doesn't matter how much you say you do. It doesn't matter how much you say you're crying and you're telling me, hey, I have boundaries. I just allow you to cross those boundaries because I love you. So now they look at it, will you love me more than you love yourself? No, I don't love you more than I love myself, but I just love you. Well, in order for you to love me, you have to love yourself. But if someone is treating you with hate and you're looking at hate like love, then you don't really love me. You hate me and you're around me because you feel like I'm wronging you. But you really are trying to control me because you're trying to control the narrative, because you're realizing that some of the things that I'm doing is reflecting to you people's personalities in your life to you. It's reflecting the personality of others. And now you're starting to see you don't have control over your past or anything that's happened to you in the present time, or the people around you, your parents, nobody. You don't have control over nothing. So you keep saying you love me, but you want to control me. You want something out of this too. So you're no better than me. And that's how they justify their actions. And you're sitting there like, but I wouldn't do this to someone else. This is what makes you feel like a good person, because you feel like, okay, maybe I have allowed people to cross my boundaries, but it doesn't make me a bad person. That's how you're almost looking at it, like, yeah, maybe I have. But allowing people to cross your boundaries can make you a bad person, because that means that if you're dealing with someone who has a bad spirit, who crosses boundaries, others' boundaries, you're standing behind someone who will disrespect you because they'll disrespect others. And even if they're nice right now, it's not always going to be like that. Right? That's why you have to be careful when, they talk about their exes and other people and how other people are miserable. Oh, they're messing with me because they're miserable people. And to the narcissist, they have a whole different version of what happened. They're the victim in everything. But the reality is that some of those people got boundaries now, and the narcissist hates it. They feel like they got over on them by having boundaries. They feel like, oh, there's only a certain amount of time that I can control somebody. Usually about 7 years max. And then they start waking up slowly. They start to see that I'm not really who I claim to be. They start to see that I don't really have any boundaries, because if I did, I'll respect yours. So what I noticed about a lot of narcissistic people is that they always try to cross your boundaries right away. I deal with it so much. I feel like I'm just like a narcissist target or something, because they see me and it's either they think I'm super friendly, so they start being really aggressive right away, try to befriend you, start asking you questions. They assume things about you. They think, oh, this person's a nice person, but screw them. I bet you I can figure them out like a book. It's almost like they want to figure people out like a book. They're so invested in others that they just want to know everything about you. They just want to know if their perception about you is correct. And I think it's the weirdest thing, right? Because when I come across people, I don't really care about their occupation. I don't really care about how much money they make. I don't really care. I don't care about really nothing about that person. Like, not in a messed up way. I mean, in a way where it's like nothing that you have is going to determine your value to me, because your value is your value. I shouldn't have to find value in a stranger. It's weird. I'm not going to sit there and pick someone apart to determine their value, because it's really irrelevant to me. It really doesn't matter. Your value is how you're treating me. As long as I'm crossing paths with you and you're not messing with me, you're not asking me personal questions, you're not being rude, you're not cutting in line, you're not huffing and puffing under your breath, you're not giving out weird looks and stares. As long as you're giving me respect, that's how I determine your value. So to me, it's the weirdest thing coming across so many narcissistic people, and they automatically start asking you questions, trying to tell you who you are, or trying to determine your value, or jumping to conclusions on who they think you are. And then when the conversation doesn't go the way they thought it would go, or they thought that they can get close to you because they assume you're a certain type of way. So they'll ask you a question on an issue, on a worldly issue, because they think that maybe you're traumatized by it or you're impacted by it. And when they realize you're living in the spiritual realm, they fly away from you like roaches. They're like, oh, I don't want nothing to do with this person. They're not even living in the matrix. They don't really, a lot of stuff, I can't brainwash them. I can't bring hate into their world. I can't have a debate with them, so they run away from you. But it's just the principle on itself of, why would you interrogate a complete stranger? I always think it's the weirdest shit. But before I went through narcissist abuse, where I finally woke up and saw everything, how demonic it was, how deep down a rabbit hole these people will take you, because you think it's a joke until they drag you down to the streets and you're in hell. So to me, when I became, kind of like that fight or flight, and now I'm very observant. Now everything that people say trigger me, and I'm going through different emotions. I'm paying attention to everything. I'm like, why are people messing with me? That's part of the gang stalking. You start to feel like you're being gang stalked in a way that you didn't before. Nothing maybe has changed. The difference is that now you're paying attention to everything. And now, because you're paying attention, what you pay attention to attracts you even more. So what I notice when I come across even certain narcissists is that you can't even give them any energy, because you're dealing with someone that doesn't have boundaries. So they're going to do things to antagonize you. If you're working with them, they're going to do something to make you mad. They're going to try to do some sneaky stuff so that you can get in trouble. They're going to set up traps, booby traps and shit. And then they're going to be watching on the corner. They're going to be watching. So I realized, wow, like, once you start having boundaries and you start treating people the way you've always treated people with respect, but you realize how important it is not just to respect them, but you're also teaching them how to respect you. This is why you can't joke around and play around with narcissists, because they want to play around right away. They want to be jokesters. Some of them even want to be jokesters right away. But the moment you do that, you're basically just opening up a can of worms, because now they're like, oh, I can joke with you, and the jokes can get harsher and harsher. And then they want to sit there and observe you if you could take their evil jokes. Oh, can you take it? Are you going to start lowering your vibration to start going back and forth with me? Cool. Because that means you hate yourself just as much as I do. I don't have boundaries, so that means you don't have any boundaries too. So I'm going to get you good later on. Right now we're joking, we're laughing, but later on I'm going to start talking to our boss behind your back. I'm going to start doing things to set you up because I really hate you for no reason at all, just because you didn't have boundaries with me. And then when you do have boundaries, what you will learn is that they actually are angry that you have boundaries. Some of them are so smart because they know you have boundaries that they'll try to act like they're respecting your boundaries. So they'll observe certain things about you. They'll study your mannerism, the way you move, your body movement, your breathing. They study every fucking thing. It's like the weirdest shit when you're paying attention to it. But the more you pay attention to it, you're giving them energy. So they also realize that once they know that you're paying attention, that they're trying to see, hey, how can I mess with this person's boundaries to go for the kill? Once they know you're paying attention, that they're paying attention to everything about you, now they want to stare at you. Now they want to do little things where they're like, eventually you're going to rub your nose, you're going to do something, you're going to cough, you're going to take a deep breath, you're going to do something to show that you're intimidated by me. So you're pretending like you have boundaries. You might have boundaries, but you haven't mastered your boundaries because I'm making you kind of nervous right now. So this is why it's very important that when you have boundaries, you're having them for yourself, nothing more, nothing less. You're having boundaries because you're teaching people how to treat you. And while having these boundaries, you also have to understand that narcissistic people are going to try to break your boundaries for no apparent reason, just because they might feel like they're in a position of power to do so. So they might know that you're someone with boundaries and you probably don't play. And they also know that you probably are respected in many ways because they could see that you respect yourself. So they're like, oh, if you respect yourself, a lot of people must respect you too, right? So what the narcissist tends to do is that they tend to attack people when they're vulnerable, meaning that if you're on the job, right, or you're in a position where they can rate you or they can contact someone above you. If you're in any position, and what's crazy, living in a society where there's this hierarchy, you're basically being put in a position where you cannot avoid these people at all. So you're basically fighting every day, allowing people. You basically almost have to live in a world where you're allowing someone to cross your boundaries, but you know that it's not that you're allowing them or giving them any power. It's that it's almost your only way to survival. Because when narcissists know that you have boundaries and you're humble, you might have been through stuff in your life. You might be working a job that you don't even want to work at, but you know, hey, this is a humble beginning. This isn't where I'm going to stay. This is just where I'm going. This is just part of my passage, right? I'm just passing through. The narcissist, when you have boundaries, they sense that. They know this is just a passage. So they're going to try to do everything to destroy you because to them, that might be their life source. They might feel like this isn't a passage. So that's where that hate will come from, because they'll feel like you're better. They know your value. Sometimes they're like, you're better than this, or you're going to get out of this. So I'm not even going to allow you to even try to get out of this. So I'm going to try to get you out right now before you get anywhere. I don't want you to surpass me. because I just do a lot of talking, but I can tell by your mannerism, I could tell by your boundaries, because your boundaries are up like a wall every single day. You're cautious about everything that you say. There's moments where I could tell you want to say something, and then you kind of like think to yourself and you're like, that's not really a smart move, and I don't like that shit about you. That's how the narcissist is looking at you. They hate people's boundaries. You know, oh, where do you live? Oh, you live nearby here? Yeah, I live close, not that far. Oh yeah, what city? Oh, not too far from here. They're mad. You could feel their energy just shift, like, you didn't answer my question. You gave me a question with a question, or you gave me a short-ended question because you knew it wasn't none of my business. And you have to think about it. When you have boundaries, you're also thinking, the reason you have boundaries is because you're thinking to yourself, hey, I wouldn't treat someone like that. I wouldn't even ask them no shit like that. You know, so you don't want to disrespect the person because you're like, well, I don't know, maybe they have a mental disability, or you don't know if it's a mental disability or they're a narcissist. So you continue giving them good energy, and you see that it starts to kind of disrupt their demons, but at the same time, they're also glad that you're even interacting with them. They're like, at least you're not completely shutting me down, because certain people with boundaries, they wouldn't even talk to me no more. But you're still interacting with me. But in the back of their head, they're also acknowledging that you might be interacting with them because you don't want them to get upset and get angry or make a complaint. So they can even get to the point where they even know, hey, you're just trying to de-escalate the situation. And when you're doing that, it's waking up their demons. They're like, oh, this person's trying to de-escalate everything and seem like they're nice. Oh, they're being talkative when they were just being quiet. You were just being quiet because you don't talk just to talk. You were being quiet because you have boundaries, because you respect others, because you don't want to make noise. You're only speaking when you're spoken to. And the narcissist hates that. They're like, are you mad? Are you sad? They want to know what you're feeling. Are you mad? Are you sad? No. Are you? I think it's you, and you're trying to project it onto me because you can't simply understand that I'm just sitting here downloading. I'm just downloading myself. I'm just preserving my energy. I'm just at peace. I'm just at peace, trying to remain peaceful. So trying to respect myself so that others can see that I respect myself, and they better come at me correct. And the narcissist is aggravated with that. And you have to think about it. If someone is respecting you, yes, thank you very much. Good morning. Have a good one. Have a good day. If someone is being cordial, respectable, it confuses the narcissist because they feel like you're hiding something. But you don't owe them anything. What the hell am I hiding from a complete stranger? I don't owe you nothing. Because they feel like people should reveal themselves right away. They feel like you're the one wearing a mask. They're like, oh, this nice person, it's not even the real you. They feel like trauma should be the real you. This isn't the real you. I can't read you. You know how many narcissists I've came across where they're like, I can't read you. Like, I usually can read people right away, but I cannot read you. Like, you throw me off. You're not predictable every single day, because you could be nice, but then if I ask you something personal, you'll go back to giving me that coldness. Like, you don't deserve to know this. It's none of your business. You're taking it too far. But you'll still make me feel comfortable, like you're not mad at me. And I don't understand that, because I would be mad at you. I don't get it. It's confusing me. You having boundaries is confusing me. I feel like I can't use trauma to get close to you. You're not coming in here gossiping to me about what a bad day you had, or how this person did this to you or did that to you. So it's really hard to connect to you. I need someone that doesn't have any boundaries and just starts telling all their business. And then when you do share things to the narcissist, right? This is the crazy part. When you do share things with narcissistic people, because you are light, you always share things that you'll feel like, okay, this person, obviously they're trying to force themselves. They're trying to cross my boundaries, but maybe they just want conversation. You start thinking maybe they're lonely. They think you're lonely because you're alone, but you're not lonely. So you'll start thinking, well, maybe they're lonely because I know how to be alone and be at peace. So maybe they're lonely, but really they're projecting things onto you. So what you'll do is you'll start having conversations with them, right? And you'll talk about peace, you'll talk about God, you'll talk about, things that basically are more of who you are, your personality. They don't like it. They'll listen to you, they're like, oh, okay. And then they'll just assume, oh, this person's like one of those godly church people, or they'll put you on a category. And they'll be like, oh, you're stupid. Like they'll think, like, the moment you start talking about God or something, oh, you're dumb. This person, oh, they don't know that God don't exist. That's what they're thinking. They don't even hear God's voice. They're so deep down the rabbit hole, it's actually really sad. And you don't even judge. You know what they're trying to do. You know that they're even trying to break your faith a lot of times. You already see it, but you know it's because they don't respect themselves. They can't love God because they don't love God's people. You don't love God's people because you don't love yourself. You don't love yourself because maybe you feel like your boundaries were crossed. So now you go around crossing other people's boundaries. Now you go attacking people that remind you of other people and what other people have done. So when you're wondering why the narcissist is doing the things that you say that they said that others have done to them, and they're sitting here acting like nothing, like they don't hear you. You have to think about it. They've allowed others to cross their boundaries. And now they don't have any boundaries, because if they did, they wouldn't be crossing yours. They don't respect themselves. They hate themselves. They hate themselves because someone crossed their boundaries, and now and they might have been the cause of it all. And now you hate yourself to the point that you're hating on other people. Once the narcissist has crossed every boundary that they can, if you've dealt with this person long enough, even for years, you'll start to see that behavior isn't normal, right? You're like, oh, this person crossed my boundaries. And even now, after all the pain, all the shit I've been through in my life, the type of shit the narcissist did to me, even now after I've been hurt, I couldn't see myself doing that to someone, especially for so many years, the way these people will be with you for years, torturing you, right? You're like, dang, when you're by yourself, right? You might go through moments where you feel rage and things like that, but it kind of helps you understand the narcissist when you feel that rage yourself. But then when you think to yourself, imagine raging at people, right? Imagine as an empath how it would make you feel to rage at people that got nothing to do with what happened to you, just because they remind you of that person. And just imagine raging at people every day because they remind you of the narcissistic people in your life, or people that wronged you, or people that judged you, or people who, came at you with hate because of your religion or your ethnicity. And imagine projecting that shit on everybody that you come across. How awful that will feel, right? So for someone to be so narcissistic that they're at that point where they view everyone that they come across as the same person, and being aware, right? Being aware of it too. They're aware of it too. They know it's something in me that hates you, but I can't tell you that because you haven't done anything to me. And I say this because, in the beginning of my journey with narcissist abuse, I would give a lot of my donations, right, to homeless people. I would go buy a box of donuts and like a gallon of coffee and do little things like that, right? And then I started being treated badly, by the homeless. They'll nearly rob you. Another homeless was scratching my car, like keying my car. Not keying it, he was using something where he was scratching all over it. And I'm like, why would he scratch my new car like that? Like, scratched it hard too. Big long lines that you can see clearly, like someone hates you type of thing, right? And I'm like, dang, I done gave so much money to homeless people and always looking out for them, and they just keep doing shit to me. They broke my window before. They done keyed my car, harassed me at my job. Like, I never knew this is how they behave, right? Like the other side, right? Because I always was helpful and giving money or giving food. And I started to experience a different side where I was getting a lot of backlash. The job that I worked at the time was in this area where a lot of homeless was around. So I started to see this other side, and I was being attacked for no reason, right? Like I said, a whole homeless person was keying my car. A whole bunch of just weird stuff was happening. And I was like, damn, I've gave so much. I'm always generous to these people. And this what they do, they key my car. And the reason I was generous is because the narcissist brought me down to the point of homelessness, and I had to pick myself back up, right? So I understood that feeling of homeless, but I didn't stay stuck there no matter what. I didn't stay stuck there, but I understood that feeling of hopelessness. And that's why I would give out a lot of money, all my donations, right? But I didn't realize that I was giving away also my blessings for the work that I do, But that's what I would do. And my blessings were just kept being taken away because now it's projecting with these homeless people that are breaking my window, keying my car, very disrespectful, want to argue with you knowing they're wrong, feeling like you should feel sorry for them. And they're not seeing that, hey, don't you know I was in your situation? You want me to feel sorry for you, but I was just where you were at. And now you're so mad that you would break my belongings, and you will try to tear someone down who is actually trying. And you would take, you would take from me, from my pockets, on something that I worked really hard to achieve, coming from a place of hopelessness. So I was like, oh, this is really jacked up, right? So every time, and I'm telling you guys this because you have to respect yourself, your boundaries. You have to understand that a lot of narcissists, this is the way they think, and you have to be aware. So did this make me hate all homeless people? No, necessarily no, but I became triggered. I became like, oh, I'm scared. I got to get in my car. I put my gas, get in the car. I became someone who was nice, giving money, giving food, to now I'm scared. Let me get in my car. I don't even want to be around anything that's dangerous, anything that I feel will be life-threatening. I don't even want no negative energy. Don't even look at me. Don't even talk to me. I became like, oh, just get away, right? Because I was almost felt traumatized that is people out here that they're doing bad, so they go around doing bad to others because they feel like you got it better than them. And that's how the narcissist treats you. So they don't have any boundaries for themselves in their own life, so they go around crossing other people's boundaries because it's their only means to survival, because they see more value in you than themselves. And some of these people don't have two nickels to rub together, but they'll still have this entitlement. And because they'll feel like I can get away with it, they'll do things to get away with it. But they're not getting away with it because that's why you're at where you're at in life. Because you keep thinking you're getting away with it. But really, you hating on others is just showing you hate, you crossing certain boundaries thinking you're going to get away, shows it's projecting on your life. That's how you're treating yourself. How you're treating others is how you're treating yourself. So I started to feel like this animosity almost, like out of nowhere. Like I could be driving, a homeless person will just start crossing the street while I'm driving, and I'm like, where the hell is you going that you're just going to walk in front of me entitled like you got somewhere to go? The hell, right? I'll just start feeling this anger. Like this anger would start taking over. But I feel like it really took over after that homeless person keyed to my car. And another homeless person broke my window, and they stole like a couple of dollars, or the lock to my rims, like the wheeling lock. And I was like, man, I was just frustrated. So now I'm seeing a homeless person cross the street while I'm driving. I'm like, why would you walk now? And this anger took over, and I'm like, this isn't normal for me. It's almost like I could be in a moment of peace, and then now there's this light switch that just came on, and the frequency is like getting to me, right? And I said, this isn't normal because they didn't do anything to me, right? I'm like, that person didn't do nothing to me. This person didn't do anything, but there's something in me that just agitated, right? Something in me is agitated by your acts. So I said to myself, That's not normal. And I said, and I was like, that's probably how narcissistic people feel with empaths. They were around people they thought were good and were bad. And now when you come around them, they look at you like you're pretending to be good, but you're bad. And then they keep pushing at you. And when you finally snap on their ass, now they're like, see, I knew you were bad. And they try to validate everything that they've done behind your back, to validate themselves, because they're like, oh, see, you cross my boundaries, even though it's almost like it's one-sided because they have boundaries, and it's almost like you're not allowed to have any, right? And that's how a lot of narcissists work in this world. So if a narcissist is racist, they're automatically looking at you. They're thinking things. They might say things. They might try to make you feel uncomfortable. They might try to gaslight you. They might start asking you personal questions. There's something in them that hates you and wants to cross your boundary without even knowing you. And then they're trying to tell you who you are, or they're setting up traps so it can validate their perception on you based off of an experience that they've had in the past. So the hate, sometimes they're aware that the hate is really not, that's why they'll be like, oh, I'm not racist, because they don't feel like they hate you, but they had an experience that triggered them to react a certain way or to have a certain type of hate. And they, in their mind, is justifiable because they feel like, oh, well, you're probably a familiar spirit. But they're completely wrong, because they're in a state of delusion. They're deranged. Especially when you're showing them who you are. You're showing them how to treat you, and they continue to cross your boundaries. So someone who isn't aware that their animalistic nature will go into fight or flight for other reasons or experiences that were traumatic or that were imprinted in their mind, they have to also come to an understanding that, hey, I can have a perception based off of what someone has done to me, and that fight or flight can kick in. But at the same time, there's people in your own household, family, friends who have deceived you. So how can you target a certain type of group when the people closest to you are fucking you over? So the psychology in that lets you understand that the narcissist isn't right in their head, because we have been accustomed from a very early on in our childhood, we've been accustomed to hate on each other. When we go to school, when there's a teacher's pet, we're accustomed to hate. We were trained to hurt one another, to destroy one another. So when you realize, hey, everyone in this world, there's so many scenarios, and it's all meant to make us destroy one another. If you have a clear understanding on that, then you realize why it's very important to have boundaries, because you're showing people, hey, I'm not living in the matrix. I have boundaries. As long as you respect me, I'm going to respect you. Regardless of all the trauma, all the gaslighting I've been through in my life, and I'm not perfect. That's why forgiveness is important when it's sincere, coming from both parties, because both parties are understanding both point of views and why you can feel triggered by certain things that another person might not be triggered by. But what happens is that certain people will say, they'll take things personal and they'll say, oh, that's not true. Your reality is not true. That doesn't really happen to you. I don't really see that. I don't really hear that. Oh, no, we don't do that. Oh, we don't say things. Oh, when we play around and we joke around and say things about you, we don't really mean it. We're just playing. We're just making jokes. So that's why what narcissists do, they disguise everything as a joke, or they would rather just not take accountability and say it just never happened or it doesn't exist. They understand that words are powerful. So denying your reality is also a way that the narcissist is showing you that they hate themselves. They hate their reality. So if they hate their reality, they can't even acknowledge yours. Yours is non-existent. It doesn't matter if you had a rougher life than them. To them, their life was more difficult. The things that they're going to have to face are more difficult than what you have to face. So you have to think, someone who attacks someone who is helping them. Imagine if you were attacking someone that was helping you over and over again. Someone is being nice to you, gives you money. Someone, help you pay a bill. Someone who, if your car breaks down, they're there for you. Someone who cooks for you. Someone who, they're one call away, and you're just dogging them out, calling them names, talking behind their back, talking in front of their face, belittling them, play fighting with them just to see how far you can push them. And then laugh it off as, oh, I was just joking. I didn't mean to hurt you. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break that cup and pull it off your hand and just cut you with glass. They don't even try to put a Band-Aid on you. They just, oh, I didn't think it was going to cut you. My bad. I really didn't mean it. But they're not even going to get you a napkin to put some pressure on it. They're not giving you a Band-Aid. They're just, oh, my bad. Imagine treating someone like that. So whether you were aware of narcissism or not, whether you were aware of your own faults or not, a lot of times you know something is wrong because the way they treat you is not normal. You wouldn't treat another human being like that. And when you make that aware to them and they're gaslighting you or they're hoovering you, they start talking to you like they are you, like they're empaths. They're telling you what you want to hear, but they hate themselves because what they're saying to you, their nice words are not even coming from the heart. They're saying it like it's a soap opera. They're saying it like they read it off of a book. So I remember a moment where the narcissist was so mad and I had made breakfast and they just slapped the plate off my hand. An egg flew on my face. And I was like, why would you do that? And they didn't care. It was like, well, you pissed me off type of thing. And I'm like, fucking egg really just flew on my fucking eyeball. That's crazy. So, yeah, they will cross your boundaries. But you have to think about it. If you show people how to treat you, and I would never do this to someone else, how could you, and then when you're not with the narcissist, right? And people are crossing your boundaries, you wouldn't allow a lot of people to do certain things, right? You wouldn't allow people to do certain things because you respect yourself. You're like, oh, this person acting like I'm cool on them, right? Because you respect yourself. So when you're with a narcissist and all this shit is going down, you're not respecting yourself. And the fact that you're not respecting yourself and the narcissist is aware of this, The narcissist isn't respecting themselves either, because why would you be with someone that's not respecting themselves? Because you don't respect yourself. So you try to compare yourself to that person. But that person isn't doing anything to threaten your life. You're putting that person in situations to threaten that person's life. So that right there shows you this person is so far deep down the rabbit hole that if they cannot respect you, they can't respect anybody, because they don't love themselves. Someone who loves themselves, they're not going to waste their time putting their life in danger, knowing that one day this person's going to wake up. They're going to know I'm manipulating them, and they're going to be pissed. You're willing to die because you've been trying to kill somebody. You're suicidal. You're trying to bring somebody down with you. That's why you don't care. That's why you don't have boundaries, because you're suicidal. The narcissist is suicidal. Why? Because they hate themselves. It's false. Everything they do to make themselves look up here and you down here and to make you feel low is because they hate themselves. You're not going to go around trying to mess with someone and stick around by them unless you're at a very low place in your life. Unless you hate yourself and you hate your life. So when these people, do things to disagree with you on purpose, or you call out toxic behaviors and things that they tell you, stories about their friends or whatever, when they share things with you and you're like, oh, this is toxic, or this person shouldn't have done that, you're going to see they're going to get mad. When you're talking about doing the right things, or it wasn't right what someone did, or if someone took it too far, you're going to see they're going to get pissed. Because they lack boundaries. They think that, oh, you did this to me, so I'm going to do something way worse to you. And a lot of times, they are the person provoking everything from the start. Why? Because they lied. They don't have boundaries. They're a liar. Someone who hates themselves. Because if you liked yourself and you had so much confidence, you wouldn't lie your way through things. You only lie because you hate yourself and you're trying to fake it till you make it. And don't nobody like fake people. So you're probably never going to make it. So I'm sending you guys lots of love, light, peace in your healing. I hope that this podcast on boundaries, having boundaries, why it's so important. And, boundaries it's teaching others how to treat you. It's showing who you are as a person. It's being sure of yourself and being sure of how you want people to treat yourself, because guess what? You love yourself so much that you don't need none of these people to treat you any kind of way, because you're showing them this is how I treat myself when I'm by myself. This is who I am when I'm by myself. And that's what you don't get. You don't get that this is how I treat myself. So this is what you're teaching narcissistic people, is that this is how you treat yourself. And they're not going to like it. You're going to see that they're going to set up booby traps for you, because getting a reaction means to them that you don't love yourself. This is why you don't give them a reaction. This is why when they're monitoring your breathing, monitoring everything about you, trying to see if they can intimidate you by giving you eye contact or remaining silent longer, or trying to see if they see changes to you, or monitoring you, This is why it's so important that when they're doing this and they're trying to see if they can intimidate you with their silence, or with their little smart remarks to other people. This is why it's so important to remain in your own world, to know, hey, this person, they might not respect my boundaries, but I'm going to keep respecting my own boundaries by not even giving them energy. And that's going to show them that, hey, I'm not even thinking about you. Hey, you don't even mean nothing to me. Hey, soon you'll be out of here and I don't even got to look at you again. Hopefully I never got to see you again. Hey, I could care less what you think, how you feel, what you think about me. It don't even matter. It means that all you got is negative thoughts going through your mind all the time. It means that you're so negative, it just came out of you for no reason. It's like when I started feeling this animosity towards all homeless people almost. That's how I felt for a second. And I was like, oh, no, that's how the narcissist feels about people. They hate everybody. Why? Because they hate themselves. Something happened and they're projecting it towards others. And it don't make it, and in their mind, they're a victim. But guess what? It don't make it right. It don't make it right. That's why you got to stay away from them. So if you guys want to book a session, my booking information is on the description. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Love you guys. Bye.